I want to thank everybody for coming today. Special time, and now that you see the water, it's a pretty amazing memorial and a pretty amazing day. I want to welcome all the elected officials, Mayor Casper, Council Lisa Burtonshaw, Councilor Jim Francis, uh, Jim Freeman, Kirk Larson, and all other elected officials that were able to make it today. Thank you very much. I want to welcome our neighboring fire departments and those personnel and local nonprofits, including Greater Idaho Falls Chamber of Commerce, Idaho Falls Downtown Development Corporation. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you all for being here that took this time out of your day. The sponsors and the recognition that I want to give to those that actually made this happen over the last couple of weeks. The vision, the concept, and the design of these towers that will be illuminated at night, and this monument that holds a piece of steel is in deep respect, dedication, and passion of members of the Idaho Falls Fire Department, and really what came to life from just an image in his head, local artist and landscape artist Nate Durchie. I do want to recognize a couple people that really helped make this possible. Please just raise your hand when I call your name. From the Idaho Falls Fire Department, Deputy Chief Paul Radford, back there in the back. Deputy Chief John Perry. Public Information Officer Carrie Hammond. Captain Lance Johnson. Firefighter Kason Hughes, Executive Assistant Amanda Albertson. Special thanks for those that really made this happen. Nate Durchie, the designer and owner of Rock Solid Hardscapes. He's back in the back hiding. Garrett Mickle, co-founder of Heroes Defense. Travis Snowder, co-founder Heroes Defense. Jesse Fernie, Director, Heroes Defense. Thank you. As you see to my right, this piece of steel acquired by members of our department more than 10 years ago is resting on top of this monument that serves as a meaningful reminder of both the lives lost and the profound impacts of those tragic events. It's pretty amazing that we were able to secure that from Port Authority over 10 years ago. On top of this monument near the steel will be 3 plaques that will be added in the months to follow. They're similar to the display boards that you can see near the tables around the corner, and take a look at those. Those will be engraved on metal and placed on the monument in the months to come. Unlike many 9/11 memorials that have been funded by cities and large corporations, Idaho Falls Memorial is special in that it was fully funded by Heroes Defense, local nonprofit dedicated to defending and saluting the brothers and sisters who protect our communities. Today it's possible because their commitment to first responders and the continued efforts to educate future generations about 9/11 is undeterred. And so again, thank you Heroes Defense for this amazing memorial. I also want to recognize really the heart and soul that actually made this happen over 3 weeks. When they came to me a couple months ago and said, hey, we're going to get your memorial done, I have to say I had a slight doubt that it was going to be able to get done. But really with the dedication and the hard work and the countless hours provided by Rock Solid Hardscapes, Universal Stone, Core 4 Engineering, Paul Davis Restoration, Qualtech, Grizzly Electric, amongst a couple more that I hope I haven't forgotten. But those individuals really have been working around the clock over the past 3 weeks to make this today's ceremony a reality. And I want to thank you for bringing this to fruition. Right, now to the hard part for me. September 11, 2001 touched each of us in deeply personal ways. The memories of that day are vivid and moving, returning us each year with a flood of emotions. We recall the planes striking the towers, the billowing smoke against the clear blue sky, and the thick gray ash that blanketed everything. We remember the chaos as frightened crowds fled while first responders rushed in with the exhaustion palpable. These images of agony, fear, heroism, and bravery are etched in our minds even as time has softened their immediate impact. For those of us watching that September 11th, it impacted each of us differently. We all have very personal and real stories of 9/11, and every year those memories come flooding back. What I remember that morning is I was sitting on the couch. Actually, I was off duty then. I had just had my daughter. She was 7 days old at that time, and I was sitting on the couch holding my daughter when the first tower hit, watching the news. And I thought everything just changed as the reality of it wasn't an accident turned into words that we now know of terrorism and it really was one of those days that everything changed. My little sister, I immediately started calling my mom. My little sister just a couple months prior had actually gone to NYU and it was in a dorm room that was near the towers. She was displaced for months afterwards, and it was one of those things that the reality of that, although all the way across the country, the reality of basically what that day meant, as a member of the military at that point, a member of the Idaho Falls Fire Department at that point, really recognizing just basically that our world had just basically shifted under feet. And it was one of those things that, it impacts us all very differently to 23 years later today. The dramatic impact that it had on each one of us differently. We all have those stories. We all have those things that keep us coming back to that day. But whatever your story, remember it as one day in history, 9/11. However, that one day transcended the boundaries of time. Those who lost loved ones lost more than a day. They lost a lifetime of memories. For the rest of us, that day cast a long shadow over lives, one in which we can't fully accept. However, with the passing of time, wounds have healed, memories faded, and communities rebuilt. New generations were born into a world forever changed. They were changed by terrorism, a world where young men and women know 9/11 only by history books, the stories that are passed down, like how our generations experienced World War I, World War II, Pearl Harbor, just in those eyes that were those before us. The World Trade Center was conceived as a symbol of global cooperation and peace through trade. As its dedication on April 4th, 1973, Chief Architect Minoru Yamasaki described it as a living symbol of man's dedication to world peace, embodying humanity, individual dignity, and cooperative spirit. In the aftermath of September 11, 2001, these ideals emerged from the rubble. The tragedy that destroyed these monumental structures also ignited profound national unity and resilience. The construction of World Trade Center started in 1966. It was one of the most ambitious projects ever undertaken in the U.S. Its foundation extended 70 feet deep, and the towers reached 1,368 and 1,362 feet tall, respectively. The Pentagon also symbolized unity by consolidating 17 facilities into one and remains one of the world's largest office buildings today. In just 2 hours, these engineering marvels, along with 4 commercial airlines, were reduced to rubble, twisted steel, and dust. The attacks killed 2,977 people, injured thousands more, and forever changed our world. The global response was immediate and intense, as people everywhere watched in horror, seeking solace and understanding in a moment, a shared disbelief and grief. Before 9/11, the world felt secure. Concepts like Al-Qaeda, the Patriot Act, and extensive airport security were unfamiliar to us all. The day shifted discussions from everyday concerns to urgent matters of terrorism and national security. The attacks led to heightened security measures, increased anti-Muslim violence, and a lasting impact on global economy. Yet amidst the grief and outrage on September 12th, not September 11th, but September 12th, hope and unity emerged from those piles. Minoru Yamasaki, who passed away in 1986, never saw the destruction or the rebuilding of his masterpiece. While the physical structures were lost, the spirit of resiliency and unity they represented was rekindled. The attacks galvanized a renewed sense of purpose and cooperation, strengthening our nation, not tearing it down. As time passes, we must ensure that those stories of courage, unity, and strength are not forgotten. Our generation's Pearl Harbor must be remembered and shared, particularly with those who have never experienced it. We have a responsibility to honor the lives lost, comfort those who continue to grieve, and learn from the past. I hope that this tribute and this memorial is something that actually does that lets us remind us of the collective strength that we have. No disaster, be it terrorism, natural calamity, or otherwise, can defeat a unity, community, or a nation. Despite the challenges of today, let us remain steadfast in our solidarity, remembering that our greatest strength lies in our unity and resilience. I want to thank the members of FDNY for being here, for continuing to teach our community, teach our youth in the Tunnels to Tower Mobile Museum. If you haven't been there, please go out, take the time over the next little bit. Today's the last day that it'll be here. We're very fortunate to have these gentlemen be able to be here, tell their story, and really demonstrate what it truly is to be a hero. And the stories that they tell, if you're able to take your youth, take your kids, it is an amazing experience there. I want to thank them for taking the time to educate District 91's 8th grade students. I believe every 8th grade student in District 91 was able to go through that mobile museum over the past week. It took a lot of dedication from the personnel that came from New York, and really it's what changes basically. It changes the thought process in the community as we move forward, and reinsures the positive measures that we have in public safety and service, really, that is a service-oriented community. And they have probably changed some of our youth and what they want to do just by them being here today and over the last week. So again, thank you. I think we should go. Yeah. What's that? So we're about 7 minutes away from 10:28. 10:28 Eastern time is the time that the North Tower actually collapsed. In about 6 or 7 minutes, we'll break for a minute of silence as we hear some radio traffic from our Bonneville County Emergency Communications Center. And until then, I'm going to invite Captain Calhoun up for just a couple words. So if you just tap that, we'll hear it on the radio.
Good morning. Is this thing on?
Hello. Good morning.
First, I'd like to thank the Heroes Defense Foundation, Travis and Garrett from the Heroes Defense for arranging this and financing it and setting the program with Chief Nelson and the Idaho Political Mayor's Office. As Chief Nelson said, he received this deal several years ago, and through the work of the Heroes Defense Foundation, this was created. I have to thank Chief Nelson for using every piece of material I had written today, so I really don't have much here. But through the donations, and this is the community's towers, you guys paid for it. Everybody worked together, the mayor's office, the fire officers, the firemen, and local businessmen. Something you should be proud of. The symbol is a reminder of the 2,977 lives lost. Don't look at it with sadness. On that day, 343 firefighters, 23 NYPD police officers, 37 Port Authority police officers, 3 EMTs, and 1 fire patrol. He was a civilian. He worked for the insurance companies. He went into the building, as reports have it, removed 150 people in groups of 25 or 30, moved them out, went out with them, went back in, went out with them, went back in. He went back in to get another group of people, and unfortunately on his way out, the tower started to come down. He had a group of people with him. He told everybody to cover up and huddle up, hoping they would survive. Unfortunately, they were all killed. We celebrate their courage, sacrifice, and strength. The American spirit, although sadly diminished a little bit in certain parts of the country nowadays, and us being here today and this week, I'm happy to say, in the community of Idaho Falls, the American spirit that I know of and I grew up with lives and lives strong. On 9/11, I was home. I was getting gas in my car. The first plane hit. There was a lady in the car crying next to me. I asked her what happened. She said, "Oh, the towers were just hit by a plane." Original reports were it was a small plane. I stopped at a friend's house who was a retired firefighter. Told him that I was going in. He turned around and said, "Good luck, be safe." I got to the highway, and I could see the Twin Towers from there, and you could tell it was not good. By the time I got halfway to the firehouse, the second tower was hit. My company, Engine 235, Engine 217, Engine 216, Engine 230, Ladder 105 were dispatched to the South Tower. On their arrival, they were given orders to go up to the South Tower lobby, and they'll be given their orders. On their walk to the tower, members of Engine 216, which was the last group of guys in our little convoy, unfortunately, Danny Sir, he was an FDNY football player and a friend of mine. He got hit by somebody. A jumper fell and hit him. He was killed immediately. Engine 216 stopped to render aid. Engine 217 continued on with half of their crew. The other half stayed to help. The other guys, the people from Engine 217 that continued, joined up with Engine 235. They got into the lobby, and from this point on, it's conjecture, but we believe they made it up to about the 25th floor before the towers collapsed. Unfortunately, all of the firefighters from the battalion that day that went into that building perished. Almost all of them. There were no remains found. So that's why we will never forget.
killing everyone on board and hundreds inside the building. Please join in a moment of silence in honor of the lives lost that day, including those lost at 9:03 a.m., 9:59 a.m., and 10:28 a.m. Eastern Standard Time.
Each of these gentlemen here today, firefighters, chief officers, we all have different experiences. I could have been 150 feet away from any one of these gentlemen on that day. I have no idea what they experienced, what their operational facilities were. We were operating as the second group into the towers with my firehouse. 6 men with the task of looking in specific areas. We were by ourselves. These men had their groups of people and they worked by themselves. Some men were fortunate enough to rescue people. My group, unfortunately, we had no live recoveries. What I can tell you to get from this is every day should be cherished. Okay? Life is precious. 9/11 showed us it could change literally in a second. Those buildings came down in 8 seconds and everybody was gone. So when you go home, you have that argument or something nonsensical, just remember, 2 seconds later you could be gone. As a result of my work at the Trade Center and me being a firefighter, my son is also a New York City firefighter, a lieutenant. My daughter is an EMT for the New York City Fire Department. Part of the results of the assistance that we received along those times was that the New York City Fire Department, when people request our assistance, we go there. When there was an issue in New Orleans after the hurricane, we sent several hundred firefighters and equipment there to help fight their fires. When the hurricanes hit, they were there. So my son's part of one of those teams. This past Tuesday, he called me, he goes, "Listen, Dad, what? When are you going to Idaho?" He goes, I said, "I'm leaving Friday morning." He turns around, "I beat you. I'm leaving. I just got notified I'm leaving in the morning." Him and 16 other firefighters are up at the Salmon Fires fighting that fire, and they'll be there for 16 days. So it's just paying back. Paying it forward is what we're doing now with Tunnel to Towers, continuing to make our promise to the families. We'll never forget. Thank you.
I could have thrown this away.
Thank you, Captain Callahan. Always a pleasure to listen to your stories and bringing it to life for us. I want to introduce Mayor Casper for a few words. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Chief. Captain Calhoun, thank you so much. I appreciate the attention that you give to Idaho Falls and the cohort you bring with you. One Wow, it's an interesting experience being part of this celebration and commemoration today. We're looking at 23 years since this happened, and I know that if you haven't said it, someone has said it to you probably, in the last little while. But do you remember where you were, right? And that's a theme we heard from our two prior speakers. People thinking about where they were, and I think unless you are under the age of maybe 28, you may not remember where you were. If you were 5 years old, 4 years old, and younger, you may not remember, or of course if you weren't born. But I'm always brought up a little bit short by the realization that many of our current and future generation, the rising generation members were not alive then, or were so young that they don't have that impactful remembrance. And it's with them in mind today that I developed my thoughts. But I guess first, just to get started, I asked myself, why is it so important that we have a memorial? A base word in there is the MEM, the memorial, remember, memories. Why is it important that we remember or that we commemorate the bravery of so many civilians and first responders, firefighters, police officers, paramedics, and just passersby who risked and sacrificed their lives to save others? Why is that important? And then I actually did what a lot of people do. You Google, remembering, the value of remembering. And you get all kinds of really interesting studies. Harvard, Psychology Today, lots of different sources and places where we can go to get some decent information. But it turns out that remembering serves a lot of functions, and I'm not even going to scratch the surface, but a couple that jumped out at me. Remembering helps our minds to process our experiences. Almost certainly, when you've had a meaningful experience, or in this case, as we're talking and thinking about what happened on 9/11, it's a traumatic experience. Remembering helps us to put that into proper perspective, right, to process it. Then there's another purpose. It helps us to learn from that past experience. Well, there are a lot of lessons we can learn from 9/11. We've certainly, the airline industry has learned, the safety protocols lesson. We've learned, lessons about holding people dear, as Captain Cahoon just pointed out. There are lots of lessons we can learn, but that's a function of remembering. Another function of remembering is that the things we remember can work to shape our identity. And that's really interesting. But as I just look around and I see friends who were former firefighters who no longer, work that schedule and do that job, they're dressed in their dress uniform or with tokens to remind us or to remind themselves of that part of their lives. And I think most definitely you can draw a sense of identity from an experience such as this one. And then another function, remembering can help to create bonds when we remember together. And as you look around today, you might be here by yourself, or you might be here with one or two people who mean a lot to you. But look around collectively. Take a little mental picture. Put this in the little heart, the little box that you keep in your heart. We are creating a bond. This is a community bond, a bond around a set of ideals and a set of emotions that are all really important ones to have as citizens, but as human beings as well. Research has revealed that remembering can also result in altered recollections, and that's a function of time, and it's a natural function of our mind. It's not a function of senility, right? So that's why I think remembering things together is important, because as we remember together, any of the alterations that we might introduce individually can get blurred as we just together remember the core things that are important. And so this is a valuable exercise today on the occasion of a dedication, but anytime. And so when you celebrate Memorial Day, when you celebrate things with others, that remembering together is an incredibly powerful function. And it helps us to keep our thoughts centered on the key lessons and values that are worth remembering. So today I challenge everyone to allow this beautiful memorial to bring you to remembrance of some kind every time you see it. It's actually quite striking. It's very simple, isn't it? Very straight lines. But it is striking, and I hope that it will, again, bring you to remembrance. And then I ask you to allow the symbolism of the water, which to me speaks of a continuous renewal, right? This water is on a loop. It's fresh and it's new and every time, and it hopefully will remind you of something that I think Chief Nelson already mentioned, and that is a reminder of the need to constantly be sharing your memories with the young people around you in particular. Be sharing them with others, but in particular the young people. We need to continuously renew the powerful memories of 9/11 and share them with the young people. The valuable and powerful sentiments of patriotism are very important to share. The lessons of gratitude that might come as a result of thinking about this. The examples of bravery. Just a few of the things that we might want to remember and share. But all of these things, patriotism, gratitude, bravery, those are the things that build the character of a nation and of a community. And those are always in short supply. And so we want to remember them, and we want to be able to draw upon those when we need them. We can't be sure how the understanding of 9/11 for someone who is, say, 28 years or younger right now. We can't be sure how the events surrounding 9/11 will be taught to them. But the key lessons that our memories can teach as we share them will matter, and it will shape and give them that stronger base of understanding what had happened. So in closing, I just want to say thank you. First, to those who generously have given, their generosity made the memorial possible, and to come together, I would say, years before we probably would have been able to do it on our own. And I'd also like to say thank you to those whose service on that particular day we honor. It's inspirational, and I carry each and every one of these stories that you share with me. It makes me proud to be fellow citizens with you. I also want to thank all those of you who work, all of our men and women in uniform that are surrounding this gathering today. You carry on in the same tradition each and every time you answer a call. Thank you. Thank you. Finally, I'll just say thank you for this beautiful place of reflection, healing, and remembrance. And may it serve as a place where future generations will come to learn and reflect on the bravery of those who answered the call.
Thank you, Mayor Casper. As we near the closing, as we talk about remembering and never forget, and this memorial that we're very fortunate at the fire department, Idaho Falls Fire Department, to have here on site. My hope and my dream for this memorial really was that it was going to be a place for community and first responders to be able to come and not only remember but reflect basically into what they give back, and whether or not that's the fire service, our brothers in blue with Idaho Falls Police Department, or sheriff's deputies in the sheriff's office, our emergency responders from around eastern Idaho and the state, our dispatch personnel, all of those people, but also the military and those that basically are giving back every single day. That my hope and my dream was that although it's towers and remembering 9/11, it also is a place of somber and basically something that we can look forward to and come and reflect on service of all of those people that are giving back to not only our community but our nation every single day. And so please feel free as a community to come and enjoy this memorial and spend some time here. Thank you very much.